No parent would wish to be present at his child's funeral, but lately, for Yulia Klimchuk, it was the only thing she was praying for. Her son, Alexander, was killed in the first days of Georgian assault. And if it wasn't for his colleagues in Russia, this Georgian family might have never recovered his body. Alexander was a photographer for Russian news agency Itar TASS. Based in the Georgian capital, Tbilisi, he often covered tensions between Georgia and its breakaway republics.
Sometimes we would ask him to take some shots of Tbilisi, but he would say, no, I prefer working in news, making political reports. He liked to work in extreme sports.
When Georgia launched its ground incursion into South Ossetia, Alexander and his colleague Grigi Chikladze were traveling with the Georgian troops. Nobody knows for sure what happened to them.
Doctors couldn't tell me how they died. I was only told their bodies were picked up on the road by Russian troops and delivered here to Tskhinvali morgue. But it's very mysterious.
Sergei Uzakov is also a photographer for Itar TASS. He was the one to identify the body and the one to promise Yulia that she will have a chance to bury her son. With the help of other journalists stationed in Tskhinvali, he somehow found 2 metal coffins and drove them across the border into Georgia.
Other journalists have joined us here. Our friends from AP, Reuters, France Press, Time are here now. And we all see it is our duty to complete this.
During this brief war, at least 4 journalists were killed and more than 10 injured. Oleg Panfilov with the Center for Extreme Journalism says this conflict was different from others.
The working conditions for journalists were terrible. Among all the war conflicts in post-Soviet space and in Balkans, here it was the worst time for journalists.
But these photographers say all wars are the same. In the midst of death and destruction, there's always a place for self-sacrifice and professional brotherhood. Bullets don't make distinction between soldiers and journalists, and everybody reporting from the front lines understands that. But if worse comes to worse, there's nothing more painful and yet more merciful than to allow a mother to bury her child.